Peace, fam. Hope all is well with everyone. You know, glad to see some of the family pop in on the live stream earlier. And like I promised, I'd be coming back with the video. Won't be speaking too much, but I'm a man of my word, and here's my video. Hope you guys appreciate it. This is the Moorish contribution to the world. And yeah, a lot of it we already went over, but now you can put a little bit of the pictures and some faces to some things. So enjoy. I feel it very important to go over a brief summary of the ancient people that put the foundation down for the Moors, for the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, and us of today. And when we talk about these people, we have to speak on the Cuisine and the Toise. The Cuisine, as I call them, or the Khoi, carry the oldest ancient Y haplogroups, A and B, that originate in East Africa. This pristine DNA goes so far back, strands of their DNA can be found in all the peoples of the world, but you cannot find all the peoples of the world in their pristine DNA. The toffee-colored Khoi, meaning people's people, are an extremely special seed of the motherland and a matriarch of Asia. That proves everybody indigenous to the continent of Ethiopia is not jet black, Carib, or cocoa. Now, what I would like for you guys to take from this is telling you, there's no other way other than to tell you the truth, is that as far as you can go back, it'll be black. The root of all the sciences, the knowledge, the people, all come back to black. And this is very important to understand for the young black man, woman, and the young white, yellow, red, brown, purple people of the planet to understand that factually and actually the root of all peoples goes back to black. The sciences of the world go back to black. And it starts with the diminutive black person or people, DBP, the small person, or what has been mislabeled as the pygmy. And we'll get into the pygmy very, very soon here. But I just want to start you guys off we have to start at the roots of things and build our foundation upwards. So read over this a little carefully, and we'll get into the next slide. Let's get into some more literature attesting to these facts. Here, as you can see, it says the first inhabitants of Southern Europe, Northern Africa, Arabia, France, and the British Islands were a race of small men. They were of slight build with dark complexions. They were an African people. Understand that when we're talking about St. Patrick's Day, we're talking about the pygmies, the Toise, the Khois, the small person. The story of St. Patrick's Day is one of genocide of the original inhabitants of Ireland. The Twa, the pygmy, the small person. We are original to Europe, Africa, Arabia, France, Britain, everywhere, Ireland, everywhere. So it's very important to know the foundation for all the sciences we use today without appreciation. All the structures and architecture of the world that we don't appreciate and understand the significance of the root of these things. These small black people are the mothers and fathers of all civilizations. So they need their due credit, and they deserve their credit. From them, the sciences grew into what they are today. From them, understandings, perspectives come from these people. They are the foundation layers. The small black person of Europe, France, Africa, Arabia, Ireland, Britain, everywhere. Once again, we will look at a little bit more of some literature that speaks on it. And here is called This Prehistoric Times by James Anderson, 1911. The dark Welshmen, the Scotch and black Celts to the west of the Shannon River in Ireland, as well as the same kind of men in Brittany and Aquitaine in France, the Canary Islands, and the Berbers of Africa are all probably the remnants of this same race, these small black people. I've given you 3 different sources that deal with these prehistoric people, these originators, these originals, who we owe a lot of gratitude and should be studying their sciences to appreciate the sciences we have today. I felt it very necessary to start at the root briefly, very briefly, so we can have an understanding of who set the tone for the world and how the rest of the world picked up from them, after them, much, much longer after them. This can be found by plenty different land masses and landmarks and artworks and just fossils. Just so many things have been presented to the world and proven to the world, but it's just not broadcast to the world. So let's just give thanks to the originators, the mother and father of all civilization, the small black person, the Twas, the Bantus, the Cuisines. You are appreciated, and we're going to move a little further now into more modern times. So let's look at these small diminutive black people. Here's your leprechaun that they killed and murdered. Here's your original mom and dad that the world forgets about and doesn't speak on. That's as big as they'll usually get. And as I believe, the women are just slightly bigger than the men. I could stand corrected, and that's fine. But as I believe, the men don't grow too much bigger. But as you see, you got another invader, another oppressor, another person bringing diseases, foreign to their land, foreign to them or their immune systems. This is what they do. This is what the pale man does. This is his history. But these are the diminutive black people I was speaking on. and that historians attest to. These are the creators of the sciences. These are the ones who started those sciences. They may have been a simple science at one point, but everything starts at a point. And this is the point of everything. These peoples. Let's give respects and appreciations to these people. I'm talking to white people, black people, and everything in between, y'all. This is your mother and father of everything. These are them. These are the queens right here. They didn't wear clothes like that. That's a new modern concept of shaming the body. We have to understand. These are great people. Twa, Bantu. All right, we appreciate y'all. Now let's move along in time. Let's look at some of the proofs that we have of the Moors, that black people ruled Europe for 700 years, civilizing them from the Stone Age. While they were in the Stone Age, we were in the Golden Age. That's how far advanced we are. This is just a depiction that you could just look up on Google. This is a Moor. You see the fro, you see the complexion, you see the beautiful outfit on. We were always the noblest of the nobles. The popes. Yep, the popes. The kings and queens. We were the knights in shining armor. The knights in shining armor. Rarely would you see, or is there any proof of white or albino or pale knights? They're called knights for a reason. But this is just a depiction, just to give you an understanding that black people came and civilized the barbaric, savage, bestial Europeans. Black people gave the world everything that it knows and uses to this day, and it's 2019. But we have been so far removed from that knowledge, that proper knowledge, that when we come across it, it's very foreign to our belief systems. And we have to shake out of that. Here, we're going to look at another Moor, king of Croatia, excuse me, a Moorish king of Croatia. Not America, not Africa, Croatia. Okay? This is how far we are. Okay? We were the kings, queens, priests, magi, Christs, teachers, mothers, fathers, warriors of the entire world. We gave everything to the world. And in very ancient times, before the whole racist system and the race system became included, everybody attested to this. Everybody understood this. And the black man of the world, the black man and woman of the world, operated under a matriarch. I have plenty of videos on the black woman. Check them out. We understood that the balance, the first teachers, the first nurturers, first everything was the woman. And we understood that. It was the rest of the world that could not comprehend the power of the woman. But here you have a 10th century Moorish king. For all conversation purposes, Moorish, for now, means black. And I use that term loosely. But here's a king of Croatia. Not a servant, peasant, a slave, none of that. A king. The world was coming out of a stone age, if you will. We were already advanced. Yeah, that's a chessboard. Yep. And yes, we created that. Black people created that. And this goes to show you how far advanced we were in mental, intellectual capacities. It's already understood, but chess is a game of strategy. So our understanding of strategy had to be so far ahead that we could understand how to simplify it in a competitive game. Understand? So here we have the Moors playing chess as a white figure is pouring drinks for the gentleman. We were already advanced. We were comfortable. We already were advanced in music. We already were advanced in hygiene. We already were advanced in war, strategy. Our thinking was on a different level. So I just wanted to show you guys some of the things that we were already well ahead of time in. Now let's get into a very significant figure in my eyes. This is Ibn Furness, a Moor, obviously, and he is accredited with actually being or making the first scientific attempt in flight. Yes, human flight via 875 AD in Spain. We were already ahead. We seen nature for what it was worth. We understood the universe. We understood astrology. We understood dynamics, aerodynamics. We were very ahead of time. We're still ahead of time. We're just not ahead in understanding our technology, our greatness, our sciences. And for any pale-skinned person, you should know this and really understand how significant the black man and woman are to the way you operate in general. And everybody, from purple, brown, yellow. The whole dynamic of your reality is based on black science, black history, black everything. It has just been converted and changed to fit European standards. So don't take this to bash at you personally, maybe your ego, but break out of that ego and appreciate and understand the significance of the contributions the black man and woman has given to America and the world as a whole. This is Ibn Furness, once again, made the first scientific attempt in 875 AD in human flight. Here's a quick prototype drawing of his ideas, and that's the authentic version. Here we're looking at coats of arms for France, I believe. France, the Dutch, and Europe, pretty much. And these can be found anywhere and everywhere. Understand, in Germany, in France, in Europe, in Spain, Britain, Croatia, everywhere you could think of, we were already there. We already cultured the place, civilized the place, set the standards of science and technology. And we were always viewed as the highest of highs, the kings of kings, the queens of queens, the noblest of nobles. And if you go look at some different coat of arms in ancient times, at least, you will find all Moors, all over the place. And this is an attestament to anybody who says go back to Africa. I can go back to anywhere. I can go anywhere I want on this landmass, on this planet, and be right at home. Unfortunately for some people, including what some may call Europeans, they can't. They have a nice little origin in the Caucasus Mountains. But if you go and you search and you study the information that is out there, the things that have been found, and if you do your due diligence, you'll find that the further you go back, it will be black and blacker and blacker and blacker. So let's give respects to the people that deserve the respects, that got the ball rolling, that put the bar and set the bar as high as they did. All right? Now let's look at what the pale-skinned man was up to during these prehistoric times.
3, 2, 1.
Yep. That's right. They were in caves, practicing cannibalism, incest, bestiality, all type of just savage things. And that's what they were called. In prehistoric times, if you look for any references of white people, they were always called savages, barbarians. Okay? And the name that stuck with them through history is Tamahu. Tama means created. Hu means colored or white person. So the created white people. They were sleeping where they were shitting and pissing, eating the dead bodies because, you know, it's cold. It's cold. And they, as you see, they don't know how to clothe themselves. And this is what I'm saying. The Moors, when the pale person, if you will, were still savage and barbaric and wearing the raw hides of animals they killed, a man named Abu el-Hassan suggested different clothing for morning, evening, afternoons, created deodorants, promoted morning, evening baths, toothpaste, and haircuts. We were already advanced to understand good hygiene. And that's significant. When they were living in caves or barely just made it out of that time frame and living in shitty huts, we had streetlights, hospitals, public baths, aqueducts. In the 10th century, the Moors of Spain had a population of 500,000, which is 200,000 more of today, including 50 hospitals, 300 public baths, 500 mosques, and libraries. When we're on chariots, the chariot is an African invention. When we were on chariots, the beasts, look at them. Look at them. This is real. This is right now. People that walked on all fours. Still to this day, understand the importance of environment. Ways necessary to survive. When we're talking about the pale-skinned person, we are talking about savages. 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 Barbarians. So over time, you know, having sexual intercourse with animals, always being in, you know, environments where that's all you know, that's all you see. You take on their traits. You start mimicking some of the actions. And this is what you get. They didn't know how to walk straight. They had to be taught how to stand on 2 feet. When we speak on more modern times and how we civilize them, we have to understand certain things went into play. When the Moors came, Europe in the 7th century didn't use soap. Poor hygiene and disease carried by fleas that traveled on rats killed as much as 75 to 200 million people. Historians calculate, not me. Understand this science, family. We were already wearing different clothes for the different times. We had deodorants, haircuts, toothpaste. While the barbarians, the savages, wore the hide of the animal they killed. They didn't take a bath. In Europe, 99% of Europe was illiterate. While Europe had 2 universities, Moors had 17. In the 10th and 11th century, European libraries didn't exist. Moors had more than 70. When we're talking about the European, these are people who shit and pissed in the same place they laid their head. We're past the caves. Not much, evolution-wise, intellectually-wise. But they were filthy and they were ignorant. It is said that they only washed before marriage. So at most, the average European would only wash their ass 2 times a year. They didn't cut their hair. They were hairy, furry, and you still see those today. You can still see the big white dude take off his shirt and his whole back is hairy, his whole chest is hairy. That's biology. That goes back to the people who walk on all fours. But it was the black man and woman who came and civilized even modern Europe. 7th century, 8th century, you know, we're going into the more modern time in the aspect of history. Yeah, it's a knockout. The people who walk on all fours is a knockout. So let's look a little bit at some of the architecture. Okay, because when we speak on architecture, we got to understand designs, math, the process to make stone, cut stone. We did all that. We had that knowledge. We introduced streetlights, hospitals, public bath, aqueducts. I've said it again. I'll say it one more time. 10th century, Moors had 500,000 people, which is 200,000 more than today. 50 hospitals, 300 public baths, 500 mosques and libraries. So we understood architecture very well, very well. Here's another slide that is introducing you to some of the inside architecture, which if you look at any church of today, and that deals with Catholic, Christian, it doesn't matter. The architecture set in stone cannot be denied. The architecture, the science of the bends, the turns, the curves, the color patterns, this all comes from Africans.
3, 2, 1.
And here you go. I gave you an example. You can just go to Google and type in church architecture or the architecture of church. You see the bends. You see these bends. Now, to the untrained or ignorant mind, if you just popped in on this video, you're saying it's just curves and bends. No. Remember, everything has its starting point. Everything. So the concept to put the arches come from somewhere. And that's the Moors, the Africans for this conversation. Here is just a depiction on what it would look like if it was populated. And you see it. They kicking it. They having a good old time. You know, you got your ladies over here chopping it up. Got the fellas chopping it up. You got music playing, wine everywhere, food everywhere, music playing. They kicking it. The sun shining in. Good times. You feel me? And this is what the ancient times look like. So that just sums it up, family. You know, just to say, to add on, we introduced fruits and vegetables, 3-course meal concept served on a tablecloth. You know, we did a lot. Medicine, you can go to Imhotep for that. Advanced farming, the Moors taught Europeans agriculture, cultivation of crops, irrigation, how to store grain for 100 years. And the list can keep going, people. Really could. The Moors, the black man in America, we've done so much. Thank you. With that, I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Peace, peace.